Have you been looking for a battery-powered solar camera that can keep an eye on two locations at once? Do you also like the look of the eufyCam S340 and have been wondering when eufy would come out with something new? I know I was. That's where the eufy S4 comes in, and that's exactly why I purchased it for myself. I will be going over everything from general specs, camera controls in the application, to a battery of real-world testing. I'm Wanderer001. We've got a lot to cover. Let's get into it. Hardware. Overall, you're looking at 9.96 inches high, and that's to the tippy top where the solar panel goes, which is not currently on, just to make filming a little easier. It is 7.52 inches long. That is going to be from the tip of your camera to the back of your battery. And then it has a width of 4.8. This is considerably larger than some of the other pan tilt cameras that eufy has put out more recently. But as you can see, there's a reason for that. Now, even though there are 3 separate cameras, the resolution of this is 2688 by 3040. And that's because it stitches all of the cameras together and kind of stacks them on top of each other. You're not going to get individual video output from this. It's going to be all together. But if we come up and we look at our top, here we have our bullet camera. This is going to allow you to see 130 degrees in 4K. To the right of that, there is a PIR sensor, heat-based motion sensor. At the top, we have 2 LED nodes, a ambient light sensor, and then a LED status light. The top camera here does have a certain level of adjustability. You can tilt that up and down, and around the camera lens itself, you can see there is a little channel lip around there, which I like to see on my lenses, helps keep water off. If we come down to our PTZ, you have 2 separate lenses, and what we have here is 46 degree field of view and 2K resolution, but this is a hybrid zoom. So you've got a wider field and then it will automatically zoom in to the closer lens, while the lens up here only supports pinch to zoom. Yes, after the hybrid zoom does its thing, you can pinch to zoom as well. We have a 4 LED node right here. We have a PIR sensor. On either side of this, we have dual LEDs, and those are for the red and blue lights that this can do, which is a little gimmicky in my opinion. And then under here, we have a radar. So not only do we have a PIR sensor for the PTZ camera, we have a radar, which will allow it to pick up things much, much better than if it was relying simply on the PIR. The motion range of the PTZ portion is 355 degrees panning with 70 degrees tilting. The FPS from these videos is going to be 15 frames a second. Now, you do have a set of 2 and 4 IR lights if you wanted to use those instead of the LED lights. They do have a 50-foot range, and they do a pretty decent job of lighting up everything that you would expect. Now, one of the things you might not have noticed me point out on this camera is actually a microphone. Well, that's because on either side of our PTZ, there and there, those are our microphones for this. If we come around to the side, you can see a little eufy branding, but that is our speaker. And notice there is a speaker on the other side as well. And if we flip the camera around to its back, we have our pairing button. So this is our sync. We have our USB-C port right there, and that is for the solar panel, which we'll talk about momentarily. It does have a nice big rubber channel to help keep the weather out. And then just underneath that, we have a sealed, screwed into place spot for our micro SD card, as well as another power supply. You can have up to a 256 gigabyte micro SD card for this, or the camera does have 32 gigabytes built in, or option 3, if you pair this to the Homebase 3, you can have up to 16 terabytes of actual usable space. And the Homebase also gives you access to some of the better AI features than you would get simply by utilizing this camera. If we come to the rest or the further back, this is where we get into our mounting and also our battery, which right now I have this unscrewed, so I can simply click this over and take this door off. And one of the things that I like is this is actually spring loaded. So one of the big concerns I had was this is up. If I take this off, I'm going to lose that screw. Well, as you can see, the screw is spring-loaded and does not come out, which I greatly appreciate. Powering this camera is a hot swappable, rechargeable. Right there, you can see it's got a USB-C if you can't charge it via the solar panel. This battery is 10,000 milliamps, so you do have a very large capacity for this. And then when you're ready to lock it back up, you simply slide it back into place. So it's really good if you have two batteries, if you need to hot swap between the two of them. Why would you need to do that? Well, right now I am in one of the coldest snaps that my area has seen in probably a good decade. And with the amount of triggers that I was getting, the battery was not being topped off from the solar panel because of the extreme cold that I was in. Having a secondary one that I could just swap in and out makes it very good. One of the other things that I like is right here we have our mounting. This does come out, and these particular screws are also permanently affixed to the mounting arm itself and have little springs in them so you don't lose them. I like the fact that eufy's making it trickier to lose some of the important pieces of hardware for their cameras, because we all know things happen, things get lost. The important bits are not going to go away on you. If we come to the top of our camera, we have our mounting solution for our solar panel. This does need to be screwed into place. There are mounting screws right under there that you will have to affix. This is a 7 by 7.14 solar panel that utilizes eufy's Solar Plus 2.0. You're going to get 5.5 watts of solar input into this, and on a not below freezing day, 1 hour of sunlight is enough to keep the camera topped off and going for the entire day. And I will say, before I hit this crazy cold snap, this was doing an excellent job, even during my testing of me walking around a lot, having it zoom in, pan, tilt, follow me, all that. This was doing a great job. You could see the solar cell right there with very minimal unused space on this. Solar panel itself also has a threaded screw mount that you use to affix it to the top of the camera, and then a small pigtailed USB-C to plug in. They also do provide you with an extra long cable should you not be able to place this where the camera is to get sunlight. The S4, when not connected to your Homebase 3, utilizes 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi, has an IP rating of 65, and during my testing, it has been rained on and it has been snowed on, and snowed on a lot. Now, the solar panel is not the only thing that you get besides this camera, so let me show you what else you get in the box with it. 5.5 watt solar panel, security sticker, positioning card. A little tricky to see, actually. There are dots and mounting guides on that. Another positioning sticker, notice, quick start guide, screws and anchors, A to C cable, more screws and anchors, mounting arm, presumably for the solar panel, extended L-shaped and water gasket C to C, mounting for the camera itself, and then we have the camera and battery housing right there. Now that we know everything that we get with just the camera, they do have other options that have a Homebase 3 as well, or multiple cameras. I already have a Homebase 3, so I just got the camera. But now that we know everything that we get with it, let's move on to setup, because there's two different ways we could set this up. And I'm going to show you the standalone way, because I got the camera and not the camera Homebase kit. Have our eufy app here, press plus on in the upper right hand corner, add device, give it access to Bluetooth. This is a battery camera, and there's our S4. Where do we want to add it? We're going to add it to my home location, and then there's a QR code that we have to scan, so we're going to do that really quick. Now, we have two choices. We can connect this directly to the Wi-Fi router, or we can connect this to the eufy Homebase 3. We're going to do this directly to the Wi-Fi router. Flip it over and press the sync button. There were some flashing lights. There's a beep. Remember to hold this because the camera probably will rotate on you. And I did hear a beep, so we're going to hit next. And we're going to give that a second to connect. Please select Wi-Fi network. Enter in our information. We're going to give that a go.
Connecting to the Wi-Fi network. Please wait.
I'm sure you heard that.
Setup was successful.
Successful setup, which is good. It's syncing our information. Added it to my Alexa routine right there. So successfully added. Next. It says you should charge things up. Current battery is at 67. Shows you how to remove the battery and charge it before actually getting this in place. Tells you to remove the film, which I already did. So it's saying take your camera to where you want it to be. Well, here it's telling me Wi-Fi signal is great, and it's going to pop up in a second, probably with the view, which is going to be me around the camera. Yeah, just testing the signal. Okay. How do you want to mount this? Wall mount this or top mount? we would say wall mount, and it'll walk you through all the steps to properly mount this as we continue to get notifications. Okay, so it's going to make me skip this because it doesn't like the fact that I didn't actually mount the solar panel yet. So it's showing us, hey, how to properly situate this. Next. Where is this located? We're going to say there. Next. Give it a name. Can always come back and change that. Microphone on, audio recording on, hit next. How do you want your notifications? Most effective, full effect. Include the thumbnail. I will leave it at most effective right now because we can always change that. Do you want AI tracking? Sure, which is dangerous while I have it in my hands. And download your latest firmware. And once you do that, that should complete the setup. And we have finished our download. And here you can see fixed and movable. So if I click in, there you go. Here's a picture of my setup. And that completes setup. There you saw, even without the home base, this is relatively simple to set up. Now, eufy is one of the few manufacturers out there that does not charge you for AI detection of humans, vehicles, and pets. And if you link this to the Homebase 3, you get extra AI smarts for friendly faces and things of that nature. But that's all done in the application. So let's take a look. On the initial application screen here, you can see it shows both the views. It labels them fixed and movable. And then it gives you kind of a shortcut where it says it's online, shows you the Wi-Fi, battery, and that the solar panel is intact. We also have 3 dots here in the corner, which will allow us to quick toggle for snoozing our notifications for 30 minutes up to 12 hours, turning on or off the lights right from there, and then quick toggle right into the settings from this screen. Also visible on the initial screen before even accessing the camera is our number of notifications that we have, as well as timeline view for things that we're seeing. We're going to come back to our main page here, and we're going to select our camera and allow that to boot up. Here we can see it does it fairly quickly. But we have our 2 individual views. In the upper left-hand corner, we have the name, the bit rate, and then over to the right, we have our alarm. If we select this, we can manually trigger the alarm for sound only, lights only, or sound and light. And then once you confirm what you want to happen, it triggers it and it's going off outside. We're going to turn that off. To the right of that is our settings. We'll talk about that momentarily. Coming down to our 2 unique views. You could see in the left-hand corner of both, it indicates whether it is the fixed camera or the motion camera. And if I tap on that, both cameras support digital pinch to zoom, but here you can see it's actually pulling in both of them. So if I want to come over here and see the snow, that's the fixed camera. And then if I do the movable camera, you notice it kind of bounces back because it really wants you to use the zoom function down here. We'll talk about that momentarily. This is all one giant feed. So even though it says fixed and movable, it is stitched together and is considered one feed. That's why it's not individually zooming. Down here in the lower left-hand corner, we have our video streaming quality. You could set it for auto, 4K, 2K, 1080, or 720. I'm going to turn that off. To the right of that, we have our full screen mode. Now, notice when you bring it into the full screen mode, yes, it's going to allow you to pick between the 2. So we've got our fixed camera down here and then our movable. But if you tap on it, it will switch the location. And then some of our other icons are also moved around. But we're going to pop that back out so that we have our standard view. Just under our video feeds, we have our actual zoom. So our movable supports a physical zoom. And then there you can see it's zooming in on all the animal tracks in my backyard. Just under our zoom options, we have our record. If I select record, whatever is moving through frame at this time will be recorded as a live event that I can grab later. Notice it's saved to my photos and videos. To the right of that is our sound. I currently have this toggled off because, well, there's a lot of birds out there making noise, but if you ever need to turn that on or off, that's where it is. To the right of that is our talk option. If we select this, it's just like making a phone call. It is full duplex. You can be heard and they can hear you at the same time. Turn that off. To the right of that, we have our pan tilt controls. Notice it just kind of brings it up on screen. So from here, I can move my movable camera around. I still have access to my optical zoom right there. And then within our PTZ controls, we get access to extra functionality. First being our presets. You can have several presets set up, and to do so, you would simply move the camera to where you want. So you'd bring that up. Let's say I want to bring this all the way over here to check out that bush. Maybe I want to lower it a little bit, kind of get the fence line, come back to my presets, hit the plus sign, and then I can hit plus here, or I can hit set right there, and it will take up that slot. Now, I also have the ability to set a default position. Right now, that one is set as my default position, meaning that if I come back to my presets, I can select any one of the options here, but your preset or your home position is going to be where the camera always goes back to after it tracks something. To the right of our preset, you saw me, I brought up my pan tilt controls again. To the right of those, we have our panorama. If you create a panorama, what this will do is it will create an image that you can scroll across rather than creating individual presets manually. This goes and it creates a dynamic picture. And here you can see it's actually building the picture out. And what that will allow you to do is once the picture is completed, you can simply go click, 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 and it will snap the camera to that location instead of relying on you having to manually create preset. We'll come back once this is done completing that panorama. Now that the panorama is complete, I can simply select a target on the picture and it will move to that location, just like that. As you can see, no setting up presets. I can simply just move my target and it will change the camera to that location. The three dots in the corner means I can reset this or I can delete it if I don't want to keep that panorama. And we're going to come back because one other thing I wanted to talk about while we were talking about the pan tilt is the tap to move your picture. So I can come here, you can see a yellow box and it will focus in on whatever happens to be in that area. Very useful if you're tracking people. Also, you can also use your finger to move the camera around without bringing up the PTZ controls. To the right of our PTZ controls, we have our light. We could turn that on or off. Notice, can't really see anything right now, but this is what it would look like in the evening or in the dark. Do notice that there's no countdown timer. It's simply turn the lights on or off. If we swipe to the right, we have access to more of our controls. And on the next page, we have our screenshot. This will take a still image of whatever happens to be in the feed at that moment. To the right of that, we have our PTZ linkage. You can turn this on or off. What that will do is if something is seen in the stationary camera, it will move the PTZ camera over to that location to see what's going on and help track it. Speaking of tracking, to the right of that is our AI tracking on and off. If you want this camera to follow people and pets, make sure you turn that on. To the right of that, we have our night vision, and we've got three choices. Spotlight, meaning it will turn the LED lights on to see what's going on. Infrared, which will use the IR lights on both the cameras to see what's happening. Or disabled, which will completely disable any sort of night vision, relying on the starlight sensor to see what's happening. Next to that, we have our playback. If I select playback, this brings me into the playbacks area for this particular camera. Here you can see it says that it saw a person, but it probably was a deer going through the frame. If we wanted to, we're going to pause that momentarily because we can jump to the previous clip, jump to the next clip, turn our volume on and off. We have our speed controls, which is only accessible when it's actually playing. So we're going to jump to something. Yeah, that's the movement. We cannot adjust our speed unless continuous recording is turned on. We're going to pause that. Upper right-hand corner, we could select the date for what we're looking for. I don't particularly care for this style of calendar. Wish it was a little different, but we have download this clip, share this clip, donate this clip to Eufy, in which you'll tell them, hey, what was the problem? And then agree to terms of service in that they can use your video clip to make their service better. We then also have delete. And then again, if this had 24/7 recording turned on, I can record right from there. Coming back, we're going to swipe our controls one more time to the right because the last bit that's all the way on the screen all by itself is our 360 look around. Selecting that will move the camera around in a 360-degree fashion, giving you a quick look around as to what's going on. This is not a true patrol mode. This is something that you have to manually activate in order to kind of get a look around. And notice it really looks around, like it looked behind itself based on where I had this located. And then it returns to its center point. And that's everything that we can do for the camera controls. Let's move on to our settings. Starting off at our settings for the camera, we have the manual. If we select this, it's going to bring up all the information about this camera. Here you can see some official eufy tutorials. But we also have our camera name, whether it's using the solar panel, whether it's getting sun, whether it's charging. You can see, I wish that was green, but it has a little sun icon with a lightning bolt letting you know it's charging, the percent that it has charged, as well as its Wi-Fi connection. Here you can see the icon for this particular camera. You also have the ability to connect this to eufy's home base to give it extra functionality. Right now, I've just been testing it as the camera itself, but if you want localized facial recognition, you would use eufy's home base. Coming down, we have our motion detection type. I have yes, detect motion, and then underneath, we could set up an activity zone. Notice that it puts you into the full screen mode if you want to do that. If you set up a activity zone, notice you have to set it for either the fixed camera or the motion camera. You would hit the plus sign in the corner here, and then you get this octagon, which you can then manipulate the shape of, or just move it all together and say, yes, that's what I want. And you can actually do several different ones. And this is something I like that eufy does. Notice you can have several, but they also make them different colors to make it so that you can tell them apart instead of having a single color for everything. You might not think about that as something that's important, but if you've ever had to set up multiple zones, you'll know just how important that is. Speaking of eufy, can we get a delete all instead of having to do one at a time? Just asking. Coming down, we have our sensitivity settings. Here we can see we have the sensitivity for our fixed camera as well as our motion camera. And notice if I change this, it's going to show you in real time what that looks like. So we're going to come out and just under that, show you the sensitivity of both. So if you were looking for like a quick toggle, that's how you could do it. Coming down, we have our detection response. What this is, if we come in here, for a human, I want it to record and notify. I don't have any vehicles in my backyard, so don't record or notify. Pets, I want recorded and notify. All other motion, I don't want to be notified, but I do want it to record. So I like the fact that they give you a level of customization as to what you're actively going to be told is happening in the camera's view. To the right of that, we have our power management. And right here, you've got a quick summary at the top. If I select this, it's going to bring us into some more information, showing us the battery dashboard. So this is the last 7 days. If I do 30 days, this chart should fill in, and I don't know why it's not, but we can do solar charging data, and that chart should fill in. Consumption, this is all information that should be there, but we'll come down to my stats. So working days, detected events, recorded events. Why are so many events being detected? It's going to bring you in and tell you, hey, consider your placement, other options, things of that nature. We've got our battery mode. So you've got either optimal battery life, optimal surveillance, or custom. If you come into custom, you could select the edit icon. That will allow you to adjust your clip length and your interval in between triggers, and then end clip early if motion stops, yes or no. I've been leaving it on optimal surveillance, and I've had good results with that. Notice you also do have the ability to have direct power, which will allow for pre-recordings and then continuous recording. Now, I don't have this wired. I'm just using the solar panel, but those are the options for that if that's what you're looking for. Coming back out and scrolling down, we have our pan tilt settings. We have another location for our presets. We have the toggle for AI on and off. And then bullet to PTZ tracking. This is the fixed camera and the PTZ camera working together to provide a more comprehensive coverage, meaning it will move the camera around to see things that the fixed camera can see. Then we have our pan tilt controls. We can adjust the speed, and then we have the ability to calibrate, which will move it around, and then screen gesture controls. So this is the quick tap to focus, and then the swipe controls that I showed you before. To the right of that, we have our light settings. We can control the brightness, and then we have our light mode, white or the red and blue alarm lights. To me, this is one of the gimmicky things that this camera does. I don't feel that having flashing red and blue lights is going to deter anybody from coming onto your property. Coming down, we have anti-theft detection. If you turn this on, it will sound an alarm if somebody tampers with the camera. Moving on, we have video settings. We have, do you wish to have the watermark turned on? Do you wish to have the logo turned on? Do you wish to have time and date stamp? So if I turn this off, that turns everything off versus turning on and off logo. I appreciate the fact that eufy shows you exactly what that will look like in the little preview window up there. Image enhancement uses AI to improve image quality. However, it can reduce battery life. Moving on, we have our stream quality. Auto will pick the best depending on your connection, or you could just force it to stay in 4K, 2K, 1080, or 720. Record settings, again, different than the live feed. Do you want it to record in 4K, 2K, 1080, or 720? Privacy zones, if you add a privacy zone, notice you can set it up for both the fixed or the motion camera. eufy actually has an interesting way of handling a privacy zone on a PTZ camera because we could set it for the fixed or the movable. And one of the big issues that I normally have with setting up a privacy zone on a PTZ camera is that normally just stays pixelated, fixed on the view. However, notice what eufy does. That is not fixed on the camera's view itself. Yes, the box does change shape a little bit, but notice as I move the PTZ camera, I now have full view instead of just having a black box. That black box is not limited to the field of view of the camera. It knows where it is in the space of the video and will continue to block it as the camera moves. That right there is the way that privacy zones should be handled on a PTZ camera. And I applaud eufy for getting it right. In fact, what eufy used to do is tell you if you were trying to set up a privacy zone on a PTZ camera, you were not able to do it. It would lock you out of that. The S4 actually knows where it is in the space of the video. That is an amazing feature. Coming down, we're going to do our audio settings. You can turn on and off your microphone. You can turn on and off your audio recording if you live in an area that doesn't allow you to record audio with your video. You could turn your speaker on and off, and then you have your speaker volume. You also have your alarm tones. You could select 1, 2, or 3. Coming back out, we have our notifications. We have text only, text first, then a thumbnail, or then include a thumbnail. eufy is letting you also know that if you choose to have a thumbnail sent, that it will be temporarily stored in the cloud. They did get hit with this a couple of years ago about privacy, but storing your information in the cloud. So they're letting you know up front, if you want to see a preview, you're going to have to agree to that. But we have our options for push notification when switching notifications. We can switch mode by geofence, by schedule, by app. If you select by schedule, you'll set up a schedule. And then you have your motion alerts, silent bell, you've got different audio types to let you know what's going on. Coming down, we have our general. We have the name of our camera, turning on or off the LED status light, storage. So for me, I'm doing local storage. It's letting you know how much I have on the card. I can format the card. I can clear the card all from there. We have our Wi-Fi connection. So if we need to change that, that's where we come. We also have our time setting, our mounting guide, and then about this device. Moving on, we have share this device. Notice I don't have anybody, but I could select the plus sign in the upper right-hand corner, and then I could select, do I want to give somebody admin privileges to this camera, or just guests, which will allow them to view the device, and it does require the eufy app. And then I would just tell them which one I want to send, and then send them an invite. Note, they will have to have their own eufy account in order for them to be able to use that option. And then share your thoughts about this device. You also have restart device and remove this device from your eufy application. I want to show you one more thing, which is coming out and then selecting events on the main page, because from here we can see all the events just in a slightly different location. And if I tap onto an event, I can download, share, donate, or delete right from here. And on this screen, we actually have the ability to filter for what type, event, and then detection, what device. I like this view a little better, and I also like the counter view on this a little better. You can see any blue dot there means that there has been something that happens. Now, I have several eufy cameras, so I can limit this just to the S4 if I wanted to, but I like that view better than the downloads view on the camera itself. And that has been everything that we can do for the eufy S4 in the Eufy app. Now that we've seen everything that we can do in the application, what's next? For me, that's testing. I like to start things off with audio so we can hear just how well the camera sounds to somebody in front of it, as well as what you'll hear through the app. Let's take a listen.
Sally sells seashells by the seashore. Peter Piper picked a pack of pickled peppers. Test 1, test 2, test 3, and test.
Sally sells seashells by the seashore. Peter Piper picked a pack of pickled peppers. Test 1, test 2, test 3, and test.
One other thing that you may not have thought of for an audio test is because this is a PTZ camera, do you hear anything in the video or standing next to it? What I will say is standing next to it, you're really not going to hear the PTZ camera moving at all. And in fact, in the audio, it's really not that bad compared to others that I've tested. Let me show you.
For camera, see how it does tracking in and back out. Good. All there.
Can't really hear anything. Now we move on to video. What I will say is over in the corner there will be a link to the raw video footage that I got from this camera, as the video that you'll see next is downscaled for this 1080 video.
Not remember the deer poop is. So I hope you appreciate me doing this in the middle of the night. We'll come up here, back up. LED light follows me. Which that definitely was. Sick deer around here. Come up here. Picture my face.
Now that we've seen what the video looks like, one thing you might not have considered is, again, because this is a PTZ camera and a bullet camera all in one, what happens if multiple people come into frame? Well, what I will say is the first person that comes into frame is what this is going to lock onto and track. However, this is also smart enough to notice if that person leaves and there's still another person or pet located in the video feed of either of these, it will lock on and track that person next. Sadly, can't show you that. My assistant does not like to be in the videos, but I wanted to put that out there as a data point for you to consider. Now, the last test I like to run is notification speed, because this is a battery powered camera. Notification speed is important. And again, the tests that I ran were without the use of the Homebase 3. So you'll get an idea of what the speeds are like just acting as a standalone camera. So I'll get to about there. The radar should be enough to pick me up. And I'm sorry for the snow. I know this is gonna make it very difficult to see this. I'm gonna try and stay in these animal tracks because it's still pretty deep. So, like I said, about here, it should see me. Stop. Yeah, there's the eufy. About 4 seconds flat for the radar. All right, we're gonna try and get the fixed camera now. Right around that corner, it should see me. I don't have a lot of animal tracks to work with, so we're gonna see if we can do this. So here, saw the, yep, there we go. A little longer, but I did see the head there swing around to see me. We'll call that 5 seconds for the PIR sensor up there. Now, this has been a beast of a camera, and I really think that other manufacturers are going to be looking to catch up to what eufy has done with the S4. But that doesn't mean it's not without its cons, and I wanted to make sure that you were aware of them. First and foremost is actually the price of this. I got this pre-ordered on sale, and even I was a little bit sticker shock on the pricing of this. Yes, it does a lot for the money, but if you're just looking to start off your smart home, this might be a little bit further up the food chain than you're looking to spend. Next, size. This is a beast of a camera. Yes, because of the hot swappable battery that's built into the back here, it does make it easier to keep this up and going, but that adds a lot of bulk and size, especially when you compare it to the predecessors that this is trying to replace. Another thing that I consider a con is the red and blue light. To me, it takes up extra space. It's gimmicky. It's not really going to deter anybody who's actively trying to get into your house or your property. There's one other camera that I tested that has the red and blue lights, and I said it then too. It's a gimmick. I don't like it. I don't need it. The output from this being a single video for two separate views is a con in my opinion, because I've tested other dual camera systems and their video feeds are completely separate. And I actually have grown to appreciate that. Yes, it does make it easier to go back and review on a single video the two separate camera feeds, but maybe I don't want that and I'd rather have two videos. And in fact, for me personally, I prefer that. Next, the battery swap is useful, but think about it. Depending on where you have this, yes, that screw's not going to come out on you, and you don't have to take the whole camera down, but you still have to go up to get the battery. Up until I had the cold snap, this was staying perfectly well topped off. And it was only once I got below freezing that I ran into problems with this. But I want to bring that to your attention. If you have to take the battery out to charge it, and you don't have a secondary battery, you're without a camera. Something to consider weather-wise for where you live. And the last con that I want to point out for this is it really should be used with the Homebase 3. If you want to take advantage of all the things that eufy does, you need the Homebase 3 for this. It does perfectly fine as a standalone camera, but if you're going to be spending the money that you're going to be spending on this, you might as well get the one that comes with the Homebase 3, because then it unlocks extra storage. You don't have to worry about the SD card or the internals of the camera. It will store that on the Homebase 3 and give you access to the Bionic Mind, which is going to give you more of the AI features than comes standard with this. I have been testing a lot of multi-camera systems lately, and I've come to really enjoy the ability of being able to see several different views from one camera, cutting down on the amount of hardware I need around my house. What the S4 does is show why eufy is still one of the leaders in home security cameras, putting just about every other multi-camera setup that I have tested to shame. From simple things like keeping privacy zone locations while the PTZ camera is moving around, to the free AI detection and automatic tracking and zooming, shows why this camera, despite the high price, should be at the top of your list if you're looking for an all-in-one camera solution. Because of that, I can strongly recommend the eufy S4. Does this sound like the dual outdoor PTZ camera you've been looking for? I will have a link where you can pick one up for yourself in the description area below. If you appreciate the time and effort that goes into making comprehensive videos like this, make sure to hit that like button to help other people find the video as well. If you like what I'm doing here and want to be notified of my next review, hit that subscribe button. Still not sure if this is the right outdoor dual PTZ camera for you? On screen now, you'll see 2 other reviews that I've done to help you make a more informed decision for yourself.